Hi everyone, for today's book review we're going to be checking out The Lost Ships of Guadalcanal. If you're like me, have been fascinated by the footage from the EV Nautilus and their expeditions in Guadalcanal exploring the wrecks of the Australian, American and Japanese vessels that were sunk there, all that footage reminded me of this book, which was one of my first books that I got as I became a fully committed ship nerd. And a lot of memories came flooding back about reading about this campaign, and particularly some of the images and some of the identities of the vessels that were involved in there that were just forever ingrained in my mind. It would be fantastic if after the Nautilus finished their expedition that they can publish a book that shows, how these wrecks have evolved over the last 30 years, as well as all the new information from some of the other vessels that they found in this expedition. But until then, let's talk about Ballard's book and why you should add it to your bookshelves if you haven't already. This book follows the same format that some of his other books have done, in that it is a multi-layered approach. This book tells multiple stories within its pages. We have an account of the Guadalcanal campaign, both the naval and the military side of things. We have an account of the challenges that Ballard faced in finding these wrecks and documenting them. And then we have the most visually interesting part, which is the look at the wrecks themselves. And about a third of this book is dedicated towards documenting the wrecks and finding markers so that users can reference, or rather readers, can reference a part of the wreck from what it used to be. And to top it all off, beyond the exquisite artwork of which you can see up here, beautiful full color battle paintings and color photography, in amidst all that is amazing illustrations by Ken Marschall, who has given us some beautiful fold-outs of the wrecks, particularly of the HMAS Canberra and the USS Quincy, and you can see part of one of those up here. There's just stunning artworks in this book, and it brings to life the condition of these wrecks and how they are. And it will be fascinating to see just how much they've evolved over the last 30 years, whether they've held their integrity or whether just they're starting to fall apart. This is a beautiful book that fills a lot of information about the campaign itself, about how the battles were fought, what it was like among the sailors. One of the earliest accounts that I read that always stayed in my mind was that sailors went back to the wreck of the Monson, USS Monson, one of the destroyers that was mortally damaged and would eventually sink. They went back to the burning wreck, climbed on board. They found a crewman who was still on board, very badly injured, and managed to rescue him. And then there was, of course, the terrible, tragic fate of the HMAS Canberra that really didn't have a chance to show off its 8-inch guns and give a proper fight back, because it was struck so very quickly under mysterious and terrible circumstances. This is a fantastically illustrated book, well written, with plenty of information covering the historical, the current, and the archaeological aspects of this campaign. If you do want to read a lot, and I mean a lot more, about the Guadalcanal campaign, then let me introduce you to the incredibly detailed series by Geoffrey Cox. So I think it's about a series of 5 books. I've got the first 3, Morning Star, Midnight Sun, Blazing Star, Setting Sun. There's a trend here, Rising Sun, Falling Skies, and there's another 2 coming out. The paperback for the 4th book, I think Starry Skies, is part of the title. is the paperback version of that is out now, and another volume should be out early next year. So if you want a truly all-encompassing, riveting account, particularly of the naval battles of Guadalcanal, then do check out his series of books, because they are intense, highly detailed, and just make riveting reading. But if you want a single volume, highly visual, beautifully illustrated book about the battles of Guadalcanal, and especially about the shipwrecks from those battles, then really you can't go beyond this book by Bob Ballard. For me, this is a 5 Captain's Hats. I'd add another one simply for nostalgia purposes, but still, 5 Captain's Hats. Add this to your warship library. You just can't go wrong. Enjoy.